Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm sorry, Mumford, but to get through this episode, we need to generate 1.21 gigawatts.
Wait a minute, don't you mean gigawatt?
I don't know. It just says here gigawatts.
Whatever. Anyway, the only thing powerful enough to generate 1.21 gigawatts is a bolt of lightning.
Wait, what did you say?
A bolt of lightning. Yeah. That's about all that pit deserved. Anyway, moving on to the podcast. Some of you might not remember the 90s or the early 2000s, and to that I say, I'm sorry for you, because you missed out on a lot of good music and movies. Anyway, there was a period when we would buy DVDs, and we would put them into our DVD player, and there was an option on the extras to listen to the commentary. Now this might sound boring, and it was, but anyway, you could listen to the director or the actors or anybody who worked on the thing to just come in and talk over the movie and share inane stories and weird anecdotes and eat food and all that stuff. So you'd watch the movie and you'd listen to them and you couldn't really pay attention to either. So we thought, what better to do on this podcast than to do our version of that with an old episode. So without further ado, enjoy. Because where we're going, we don't need DVDs. All right, that was a Back to the Future reference. What does Back to the Future have to do with the 90s and 2000s? Nothing. Just play the fucking thing.
All right. Well, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. This is going to be an experiment of sorts. I did actually have a major attack yesterday and had a scary night. So we're going to roll with this and we're going to play this old episode because I've been meaning to do an update of art marketplaces to see what's going on, what has changed, and what better way to do that than to be completely confused and distracted by the other audio. So here we go. I remember putting together this intro at the beginning in 2020, right before the pandemic happened. Man, I had no idea what was about to happen in the world and with global health and sickness, and also me, my entire world collapsing and breaking down over the past 5+ years. But anyway, we've been doing this for close to 6 years, which I cannot believe. And this intro is something I still like, and I'm glad I did it. So on to the episode.
Yes, welcome back to the show.
Yes.
I love the intro. It kind of has a little bit of a Breaking Bad feel to it.
Oh, wow. Breaking Bad. That's a little bold to compare this to Breaking Bad. But anyway, moving on, this episode was episode 9, way back in 2020. And I was trying to share my favorite online art marketplaces to give people a chance to get involved and sell their work online like I do, which has been
one of the main reasons why I was able to quit my job.
See, took the words right out of my mouth. I guess not much has changed.
And, not on one specific marketplace, I should say.
One specific marketplaces.
And all these other.
Yeah, but truthfully, this was one of the things that really allowed me to do everything that I have been able to do in life and quit my day job and do, sell artwork all around the world to collectors I've never met and to big establishments and just make a living as an artist.
What I'm going to do today is break down my favorites.
Yeah.
Some of the
break it down.
On my periphery,
break it down.
And which ones work best for me, which ones I like the best, and kind of break down some of the things that I like or dislike about each of them.
Yeah, and what has changed in the past 6 years. All of these ones, I believe in this episode, are still here, but they've evolved a bit. So we're going to get into that a little bit as well.
For example, Blue Thumb in Australia.
Blue Thumb. Blue Thumb that's the first update, is they do accept American artists. Now they have a whole US leg of their site now. It is kind of separate from their Australian site, but it's affiliated with Blue Thumb. So I'm a part of that now, and I have yet to sell anything with them, but I do like their site, so check them out.
Sites out there that you can use, like Squarespace, Wix.
By the way, this is very challenging. I wonder if all the actors and artists and directors had a problem watching this and thinking at the same time, because it is definitely a challenge. I'm having to use different parts of my brain here, so. Okay, but here I'm talking about Art Storefronts, which is my website. I think we're going to fast forward this part because I want to focus more on the actual online art marketplaces. I think most people should have their websites kind of on point and situated at this point. So let's fast forward this part.
But let's shift focus now.
Yeah, could we shift focus? Thank you.
Hearing about, which is online art marketplaces that are not your website.
Yes, here we go.
I'm going to be going into a handful of art marketplaces that are out there, like Artsy, First Dibs, Etsy, eBay.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon.
These are all pretty much art marketplaces you can get on through a gallery or even affiliated with another site. They're like connected with First Dibs. Like, for example, Zetista is connected with First Dibs, as I'm saying right now.
Or Auction House, even, to be able to be on those. So if you are with...
I'm going to pause here for a little mate break.
Capacity to upload your work and sell it through those marketplaces. But if you're just an independent artist,
yes.
You're going to do that.
Promise I'm not going to be eating chips and popcorn while I'm doing this, like some of the commentary.
Marketplaces that are kind of print focused, for example.
Yes. Well, a lot of stuff has become print focused. Even some of the places like Art Finder, which we're going to talk about, they are talking a lot about prints now, and they have actually merged with another company called Art Republic that are very much focused on print. And that's great. I mean, that's something that if you're interested in, it's another way to make some money on the side and to kind of like get some stuff going, like basically make money while you sleep or kind of automate this. We are always looking for these little steady streams of income or passive streams of income. And that's a great way to do that. Saatchi does that as well. And I believe Art Majour does that as well. We're obviously going to be talking about more of these as this episode goes. But I just said it hasn't been great for me personally, but I have sold prints through Saatchi, and I have also sold prints through Art Majour. So, Van Gogh, wow, this is a blast from the past. I'm going to fast forward this part because Van Gogh hasn't been around for a long time.
Oh, man, finally.
I can do voices over these. This is great. Top 4 current art marketplaces. Okay. Here we go. Art Finder. Yes. Saatchi. Singulart. Zetista. Those are all still on board. But Art Majour has really come up since then, and I've had a lot of success with them. Sold a lot of paintings, one of my largest paintings ever through them, and I've sold prints through them, and I've had a consistent relationship with them. Art Majour also, as a side note, has merged with a company called Your Art, which every marketplace seems to be doing nowadays. I don't know if that is good, makes it more secure, or if it means that they're kind of having some issues. But they are doing well, and they're pretty much the same type of format. But let's get on to these top 4.
About them with a few criteria in mind, such as how heavily curated are they? How hard is the application process?
Interesting. This isn't a bad episode if I do say so myself.
What is the shipping like?
Yeah, what is the shipping like? That is a big one. To my knowledge, the only place that hasn't changed their shipping policy yet, and it's a big deal, is Artfinder, although I know they are in the works. Spoiler alert, I am on the ambassador board for Artfinder, which we're talking about right now.
The one that I'm probably doing the best with at the moment.
Wouldn't say that I'm doing the best with them at the moment, but I have definitely sold close to 250 pieces now with them as an update. Slowed down a bit, but I have sold consistently with them, and I really love them. Like I was saying, I am on the board, the ambassador board with them. I don't get any benefits from that. I don't get paid for that. I don't get any special privileges by being on there. As a matter of fact, I think I might have actually slowed down a little bit more since I've been on the board. This is my second time being on the board with Artfinder, but they're a really good company. I really believe in them. Yes, and to go along with what I'm saying in the past, we're going to go back to the future. What I'm saying here is more relevant than ever, because not only have they become more heavily curated, Artfinder, but they also have gone through and actually swept their site. They've gotten rid of a lot of artists. I think it was in the thousands, over 2,000 artists. They were either not pulling their weight or they weren't on there consistently. They weren't really paying much attention to Artfinder. They weren't trying to sell. They weren't updating their profiles. They weren't updating any of their art. So it was just kind of like a waste of everybody's time and just really bogging down the site, which I think was a really good move. And, you know, people who want to be on there can always apply again, so it's not a big deal. But a lot of people just get on there and then they don't do anything. They're inactive, so it makes no sense. Talking about shipping here, yes, I have been on the board and I've talked about how important shipping is with them, and they are in the works. I think they might be trying to get it going within the next year or so, but it's important because shipping can be a major thorn in our side as artists. And, you know, I've learned a lot, like I said, right here. It was great because I really cut my teeth, and now I can ship from my website. I can ship anywhere, and I know what I'm doing. I really learned a lot about it. So I'm kind of glad that I went through that. But at the same time, it is going to streamline and make it so much easier in the future when they will take over shipping eventually. And look, if you want to get some of the insights from this original episode, it is called My Favorite Online Art Marketplaces, and it is episode 9. So you can always go back and listen to this without the updates. I don't know why you'd want that, but there are probably some nuggets in there that I may be talking over. But let's listen in.
Be held up in customs, and then your customer is going to be charged another fee to go pick up the work.
That is actually an interesting thing that I wanted to update is customs. I was on the board the other day, and one of the artists was talking about how things are getting stuck in customs and how they're looking for these codes, these customer codes or product codes. And that was really holding her up. Her stuff got stuck in customs for over a month. And that happened to me during the pandemic for obvious reasons because things weren't shipping. But recently, that should not be happening. But a lot of times when you're shipping, the customer is going to have to pay some sort of duty charge when it comes to the country. One thing that I found that I kind of get around that a little bit now is I have a USPS. If you're going to use USPS, I have a online business account where I will fill in all of the international stuff online, and you pick the codes through there. You pick what the product is, and then I just put that in there. I bake it in there. I put it in a little pouch on top of the package, and then I ship it out, and then customs can kind of deal with that. If you want to get through some of the loopholes, you can reach out to me privately, and I can give you a couple other little tips.
Behind the scenes work to get your work out there. So
oh yeah, we're talking about commissions here. I think anybody who is in the art world understands you have to pay a commission to a gallery or online art marketplace at this point.
Artfinder's customer service is great. They actually have 24
their customer service. Well, their customer service isn't 24 hours anymore. You can't call in. It is now business hours, which makes it a little difficult, but you can email them. And also a lot of these marketplaces now, like Singular or Major, or I think Artfinder might also even have this. They have bots now. They have little chat bots that help you. They basically weed out stupid questions, for lack of a better word. They weed out questions that are kind of, easily answered by a bot. And then if this is not answerable, then you have to email them or call them in and leave a message, and then they'll get back to you. Sometimes that is an issue because sometimes you have a problem that needs to be answered right away. And to my knowledge, none of these art marketplaces, maybe Saatchi is best at this now, but none of them really are able to be reachable very quickly and to get an answer really quickly. Saatchi has been pretty good at getting back to me both on email and phone call wise, as long as you're calling during business hours. But if you're calling somebody who's in the UK or in France or whatever, and you're trying to have them deal with something like Art Majeur or Singular or Art Finder, you're going to have to wait probably at least a 24-hour period to get maybe even an email back, but also a phone call back. So that is an issue, and that just goes to show you that you really need to have your stuff on point from your own end. Like, you have to be able to know what you're doing and know your shipping and know how to deal with customers and collectors and know how to get around some of these things, so you don't get into a bind where you're just like, oh, you're pulling your hair out and nobody's getting back to you
out there to promote, and it is very difficult to give each person their fair due. So I think they do.
Okay, talking about promotion here, of getting like people's visibility out there. That still remains a very difficult thing, but I think with them like cutting back on the amount of artists that they have on their roster, that does actually help give people a little bit more visibility on the platform. And also just consistency, like I've always talked about, getting your work out there, getting good at work out there consistently is going to get you more visibility in the long run, obviously.
Where they are sharing artwork and you automatically are getting people and other artists who will like your work, and you can return the favor and like their work. And it just gives you a little more visibility in the platform.
Talking about the art forum on Art Finder, which is something, it's a community. You can get on there. You can communicate with other artists. You can also like their work, and sometimes people reciprocate, which also helps you to get more visibility and likes on the platform, which can help you get more exposure.
Can be supportive of other artists and have that translate.
And I think this is just a general rule that I'm talking about of, supporting other artists. Like, you don't want to just go on there and be like, this is me, like me, and then get off. Like, you do want to reciprocate a little bit. Try to like people. Try to show their work a little bit, especially if you're getting started. Get on there. Give them a couple clicks. Maybe give them some positive lip service, and develop a relationship with somebody on there. And like I said, likes go a long way. You like other people's work, people do realize after a while. You add them to a collection or an art majeur or something like that. People will recognize that, and they'll thank you, and you'll develop a rapport with them, and then they will scratch your back as well and go on and turn around and like put you in a collection or like your work. Saatchi. All right, here we go.
One of the longest standing art marketplaces online.
Yep, that is still true.
Very well respected. I've also done very well with them.
And that is still true as well.
40s of original art sales with them.
40s, oh wow. I think I'm up to over 100 original art sales with them now, and prints on top of that.
Submitting their art and getting started with the whole
I've even sold a couple $10,000 paintings on Saatchi. I've also sold some small stuff, but I've sold a lot of like diptychs, triptychs, and large pieces on Saatchi. And they can be a little bit hit or miss as far as getting consistency. But once you get into a rhythm with them, it's pretty common for me to...
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue. Subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ah, Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant.
Whoa, that's refreshing.
And a 9.5 plus pH for every way you move.
I did take a Spain class today.
Restoring like a pro. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
Sell about 8 to 12 pieces with them per year. And if those are high quality, large pieces, that's a good thing. because that's like almost a painting per month. And if you're doing that on each marketplace on average, or you have one that you're killing it with where you're selling like 4 to 6 pieces a month, and then you have one per month on these other art marketplaces, then you're selling, somewhere around 10 to 12 pieces a month on these online art marketplaces, which can be enough to just make a living, especially if you're selling big work. I know I've had some sales and some months where I've sold and made like $11,000 or $12,000 just on art marketplaces. This is not all the time. And now with the political climate and a lot of the tariffs, which have thrown a monkey wrench in there, or thrown a wrench in there. I don't know. The expression. But that has confused some of the things, and the sales have slowed a bit. But, everything ebbs and flows. It'll come back. And you can see, though, how this can add up. If you're getting this consistency of sales on a bunch of these different art marketplaces, how you can actually make a pretty good living just doing this. And then you're showing in galleries, and you're selling through your studio, and you're selling through your website. It can add up and become a pretty lucrative business for you if you do it right.
Show notes. If not, you can Google it. Saatchi shipping standards. Say that 3 times fast. Yeah, so I think that's really good with them.
Saatchi shipping standards. Yeah, this is true. They will handle shipping, and they will pick up your work and schedule a pickup or a drop-off. Now, they actually give you the option now to pick whether you want to have something picked up or dropped off, because what used to happen is you do a pickup, and then, maybe life happens and you can't be around for this like 10-hour window when they're going to come pick up your work, and you have the ability to drop it off. So now if you know that's going to happen, you can just go, I'm going to drop this off. So you either select a pickup or a drop off. I like pickups because I'm homebound right now. Obviously, I've been very ill, so to pick up is really helpful for me at this moment. So, but that's good to have that flexibility. If you are on the move, if you're going to be like out of town, or you have to drop off at a gallery or something, then you can just pick that option of, I'm going to drop this off at FedEx or UPS. But anyway, the shipping is really convenient. I really like the shipping service with Saatchi.
Just so you're not surprised down the road if you sold a small piece and you're like, they're handling this, and then your material costs end up being something that kind of ends up screwing you down the road. Just keep that in mind, and you should be good.
I think we're talking about making your sales worthwhile. Don't sell something that's so cheap and then have all the shipping and end up not making any money after commission.
If you try a few times, you can get through to them if it's within the business hours.
I think Saatchi, I think Saatchi's customer service has really gotten a lot better. I've gotten responses via email within the hour many times if I'm, emailing them during business hours. And I've even had them return phone calls. And maybe that's because I have a good reputation with them and I've sold a lot with them. I don't know. But I think they're pretty much trying to do that with everybody. As long as you're asking valid questions, or you have like an issue with an actual artwork that's sold, and you're not just like, hey, why aren't you showing my work? You don't want to do that. That's a good way to get on their shit list. Any of these art marketplaces shit list is just to email them nonstop and be like, why aren't you showing my work? I mean, nobody wants that. So anyway, as long as you're being respectful, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons for a sale that's happening, or a potential sale, or a collector, then they are going to make you a priority, and they're going to get back to you pretty quickly. So Saatchi's been good about that.
Saatchi for a while, and what's the trick? I haven't been able to sell with them. I've been on here for...
Yeah, again, this is not really a trick with Saatchi. You just have to be consistent and show up, and you have to sell work. And if you can get in their catalogs, and if you can do the other art fair, which is a fair that Saatchi does, or they run, they've been doing that a lot. I know a lot of artists who've done that. If you can get in there, make some, connections with some of the curators on there, and you can show up at their art fair and make a good presentation, and then also you sell consistently on their website, I do think they're probably going to show you, and maybe they're going to put you in a collection, or maybe they're going to put you in a catalog, and those things all are feathers in your cap that will make you have more visibility and will increase your sales on Saatchi. So those are things to think about when you're trying to sell work with them.
And you're ticking all those boxes. you're going to kick in with the algorithm and eventually you're going to start selling.
The algorithm.
Didn't sell very well with them.
The algorithm has changed. It's always changing. It's always evolving. So we have to be pivoting and we have to be, trying to do all the best things we can. If something's not working on one website or one art marketplace, then, maybe you can focus on getting some sales on another one, getting some stuff that can actually make up the difference of some of the sales you used to get on another one. That's why I have a lot of things going at all times through galleries, online art marketplaces, through my studio, through my website, because something is going to pop at some point. And maybe I'll do really well on one website or one art marketplace or one gallery and won't do so well on some other ones, but it's okay. And then when some of them are hitting at the same time, then you're killing it. And then you have those months where you're making up for bad months. It's not a consistent thing. Selling art online and selling art through galleries and just being a living, working artist, it is not always consistent. It's going to ebb and flow. You might have some months and years where you're just killing it, and then you might have some months and years where it's pretty dry. You want to make sure that you are making enough and being smart about your savings and how you're investing in your art, I should say. And, then you can make up for some of those dry periods. That's how I've been able to make it. And make sure you're having some stuff that you're putting aside for savings. Like if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to make it right now when I've been very ill.
Reach more people, reach more collectors, and you have a higher probability of selling that way. So that's, I think, a very good resource with Saatchi as well.
We're still in Saatchi.
The only downside.
Let's fast forward to the next marketplace.
So now let's shift to
Singular. Yes.
Relatively new, I believe.
Singular, I've had a whole episode on this. Singular is interesting because we might not spend as much time on Singular here and fast forward a little bit, but it's one of those things where, Singular really came on strong. I was hitting it with them. I was selling like between 15 and 20 pieces a year with them, and they were good pieces. And that's really slowed as they've monetized. They have a lot of investors and they've done a lot of good work and they have some clout in the art world. They're really doing well in some respects. But, they started to monetize and charge these monthly fees and they have these tier levels. And I'm on the second tier level and I think I pay $69.95 per month or something, which do the math. That's going to add up to, close to $800, $900 a year just in, monthly fees. And that's not even, including their 50% commission that they take on top of that. I really have been a little bit disappointed with them and how they have monetized in that way because I have noticed a couple things. Well, I had 3 big sales right before they were trying to get me to join this monthly payment plan. And then the moment I joined and started paying, I've only made 1 sale in like the past 6, 7, 8 months. I can't remember, but it's really just fallen off a cliff. And I'm like, well, is this because they're just making, their nut with me paying this monthly payment? I hope not. I hope they're still working. I mean, they seem to be doing a lot of progress and they're always releasing new things and a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we can do and metrics and stuff like that. And that's cool. And they give you other opportunities to, potential exhibitions and to join different types of residencies and things like that. So that's great. And they do have some good marketing stuff, but you got to make a living. So if you're selling, 1 or 2 pieces a year and you're paying 50% commission, and let's say those pieces are like $800 each, and you make $400 off of each of those, so you're making $800 in a year. That's already taken up with your monthly payment plan, dues, and then you got to pay those commissions on top of that. And it's just like, well, we got to make some money. So if they were picking up the slack and making me sell more, like if I was selling, I'm selling 2 pieces a month, and, I'm averaging like taking home about $1,000 from that. Okay, that covers it. That gives me enough to pay my commission, to pay my monthly payment dues, and feel like I'm still being successful on their platform, and it's worth both of our whiles. I mean, they're making money and I'm making money. If they're doing that, I think it's okay. Now, this could be an adjustment period. I know a lot of stuff has happened in the art world and in the political world and in the world in general since then. So I'm kind of letting the dust settle a little bit. Because I'd been in there, I'd been grandfathered in, so I didn't pay right away. I had a little bit of a grace period, and then I started paying. So I think it's been, like I said, 6 to 8 months since I've been paying, and I think I've only made one sale. So I am going to put a little pressure on them at some point, reach out and ask him what's going on, because I've had a lot of hot leads, which means somebody's interested. I've even had offers that I've accepted from collectors, and none of them have gone through. So I'm like, are they dropping the ball, or is this just coincidence? I'm going to give it some more time, and I'm going to see how these things play out, and I'm going to see if I can start getting some more sales on there. And maybe I can communicate with them and see what's going on. Obviously, I've been unwell, so it's been hard for me to communicate, and I've just been like, well, I'll get to it at some point when I feel better. Hopefully that's something that happens soon, but if not, hopefully they will just kind of, pick up the slack and start making some sales for me and getting some collectors interested in like closing the sale on collectors who've made offers or where there's been hot leads. I think if that starts to happen, I think I will be happy even with those fees. But, it's hard to pay fees everywhere. That's something that has been a change. I know we're talking about Singular right now, but let's move on to most of the art marketplaces. I think about 25% of them in the past were charging a monthly fee, and now that's pretty standard. Artfinder charges a small monthly fee and have tiers. It's like $12 a month. It's not that much. Same thing for Art Majour, which is now Art Majour and Your Art, or Art Majour by Your Art. They also have merged, but I think they're doing like $9 a month there. Singular Art obviously is the most. And, I'm glad that Saatchi has not done this and they've stayed strong, because I really think they can make it by just making consistent sales and by having the other art fair and doing some of this stuff. I think that makes them stand out right now for me, because I make a lot of good sales with them. Their commission has gone up, but I think it's still I think it's 40%. So it's still a good chunk, but it's also, sustainable. I mean, that's something that we can sustain as artists, paying a 40% commission, getting the work out there, making 60%, having them handle the shipping so you're not paying an extra cost there, and then on top of that, not having to pay a monthly fee. So that makes me feel like Saatchi and Artfinder, I will say, because it's a low fee, and I really believe in Artfinder still. They're still one of my favorites, and I have a special place in my heart for Artfinder because they were really the site that enabled me to make some real sales, consistent sales, and quit my job. And I have a special relationship with some people in Artfinder. I've had the CEO on my podcast. I've had Jane Verity and David Venon on the podcast, people who work for Artfinder that I really love. And they're just a great, community, great organization, and I really love what they're about. So Saatchi and Artfinder are really standing out for me. I just shifted to Statista. I really like Statista. They're another one of these art marketplaces that doesn't charge a monthly fee. They do have a package where you want to, advertise with them, and I think that's where they get some extra money in. Most of these places do that. Blue Thumb does that. Artfinder does that. Art Majour does that. I don't know if Singular does that, but Statista also does that. You can, pay for a little advertising, and it does help. It gets you some eyeballs, and maybe you'll get a couple sales off there. It's kind of a win-win. But they don't charge a standard monthly fee, which is great. It is kind of highly curated, so you have to submit to them and get accepted. I haven't sold as much with them. I think I've sold maybe 6 or 7 pieces. Some good ones, some good sales, but it's been a little dry for a little while. And another thing that I really like about Statista is that they ship you materials. They ship you all these advertising materials that you can put in the packaging. They give you protective corners and so on. Oh, my favorite things. Let's see what I say here.
Like Saatchi like Saatchi and Singular, they handle the shipping process.
Actually, I think that might be one of the only mistakes I made on that episode. I don't think Statista actually does handle shipping. So I think it's Artfinder and Statista that don't do that. I know Artfinder has that in the works. Maybe Statista does as well. But you have to be on point with your shipping tables and how much you're going to charge for certain locations around the world with Statista, because you are responsible for shipping that on your own. I do love that they send you the materials and they send you special things that you can put in there and discounts, and they make it look really good, and stickers and protectors, corner protectors and all that stuff. That's great. And you just have to reach out to them and they will send you a package of new shipping materials. So I think that's really cool. That's unique. It's something that other art marketplaces do not do. but you do have to be responsible for your shipping as well with Zetista. Zetista also has a reputation with like First Dibs, and I think one other place online. I can't remember if it's Artsy or not, but you can't get on there on your own as an artist. So through Zetista, you're also getting exposure on First Dibs, which is cool. And I have sold, I think most of my work is actually sold through First Dibs and their relationship with Zetista. So that is very cool. Again, they've been around a long time. They're highly curated, and I believe they're pretty well respected in the online art marketplace world. Look, I'm going to just close by saying we have talked about uGallery, and uGallery is good. The only thing I don't like about uGallery, and I've had the CEO and director or co-director on with them as well on the podcast. So you can listen to all of these podcasts and go back. And I had the GM of Saatchi on as well. So you can go back and re-listen to these. Those are, there's some great information in there straight from the horse's mouth on all of these. But uGallery, I have not become a part of just because of the exclusivity. You have to really just have a certain body of work that's just for them. That's really cool if you're into that, because it is like a gallery where, you're limiting the amount of product that's out there, and it kind of makes it a little more special on their program. So I would say if that's your jam, if that's something you're interested in, look into uGallery, because I think that can really work for you as well. But again, if it's not happening and you're not getting sales on that platform, you're kind of limiting yourself as to not being able to sell on other platforms and to have them pick up the slack. And, like I said, throwing spaghetti at the wall, having some of it stick. So that's just one caveat with them. Otherwise, I've heard really good things about uGallery, and I really liked the CEO of their company as well.
She highlighted a couple of my pieces, so I thought that was really great to get that kind of personal attention. So I'm not sure if they do that with everybody, but it seems like they might. And if you can get past the curatorial application process, then I'm sure that is something that could be available to you as well. I just wanted to give a couple other honorable mentions.
I think that will do it for today. This was a long one, but these honorable mentions I've either become a member of, like Art Majour, and I'm doing really well on, or Art Lines. I don't even know what that is anymore. I think they didn't really stand the test of time. A lot of these art marketplaces come up, they pop up, and they don't really make it after a while. So it's really cool that the ones that I mentioned on here are still around, still alive and kicking, and actually thriving for the most part. I know I've got some issues with Singular Art at the moment, but they're doing well. They are selling art, and they're making money, and they're a force in the online art marketplace world. So all these ones have stood the test of time, at least in the last 6 years when I first mentioned them. So that's pretty cool. And you heard it here first, everybody, on the Living Artist Podcast.
But you can also, as Pete Holmes says,
give
him a goog,
Pete Holmes,
and find him yourself.
Give him a goog. Little blast from the past there.
Countless art marketplaces out.
Okay, looks like the old me is wrapping it up, just like the new me. I guess not a lot has changed. Not a lot has changed, and a lot has changed. That's life. But yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it was an interesting experiment. It definitely was a challenge, but hopefully it was fun and informative most of all, because, some things have changed and some things have stayed the same, but most of these art marketplaces are still alive and kicking, but you just got to know some of the differences and some of the, upgrades and adaptations and monetizations and all that stuff, because they are all things you need to consider if you're thinking about getting involved with them. I know I would. So that's it for today, everybody. I hope you got some value and entertainment out of this episode. Be good to each other. Be good to everybody else out there. And I will leave it at that with my old self rambling on into the abyss. All right. See you next time on the next episode, everybody. Bye-bye.
Based on shipping problems and what you can do to help facilitate your own.
Is it over? Oh my God. That was a snooze. I apologize for that, everybody. Anyway, let me press stop here on my DVD player. Well, I got the DVD player fired up. Let's pop in Fight Club. I can listen to the commentary of that and see what Brad Pitt and Eddie Norton got to say. His name is Robert Possum. His name is Robert Possum. I probably don't get that reference either. So long, suckers, and see you next time at the movies.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.